The sound of shattering crystal cut through the polite applause like a gunshot in a quiet room. Alexander Hale's wine glass slipped from his fingers, stem snapping clean in two as red liquid bloomed across the pristine white tablecloth at the head table. Heads turned. Whispers rippled. But all eyes eventually landed on me, Elena Voss, sitting at the vendor table near the kitchen entrance. My black tailored suit blending into the shadows cast by the catering staff bustling behind the curtain. I didn't flinch. My pulse stayed steady, the way it always did when numbers aligned perfectly in a closing spreadsheet. Harlan Brooks, an old logistics partner from my early deals, had just finished his toast. His words still hung in the humid Charleston air. None of this, the estate, the expansions, the seamless flow tonight, would be possible without Elena Voss. Where are you, Elena? The room froze. My name, spoken fully and correctly for the first time all weekend, landed heavier than the broken glass. Lila Montgomery, my younger sister, the radiant bride, leaned toward her new husband with wide eyes. Their mother-in-law's perfectly coiffed head snapped around. Even my own mother clutched her napkin tighter, her smile faltering for the first time that evening. I stood slowly, deliberately, folding my napkin with the same precision I used on contracts. No dramatic speech. No raised voice. Just enough presence to let the silence do the work. You've known the name, I said quietly, my voice carrying across the tent without effort. You just never asked who it really belonged to. Murmurs swelled. Phones came out under tables. Someone at a nearby investor table whispered, Voss Capital? The one behind the Hale Group acquisitions. The MC fumbled for his notes, clearly fed new information through an earpiece. But I sat back down, letting the weight settle. They hadn't forgotten me. They had erased me on purpose. And now the frame they'd built around Lila's perfect day was cracking. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to the invitation that arrived 2 days late, buried under junk mail in my Manhattan apartment mailbox. The envelope felt heavier than it should have. The thick cream stalk embossed with gold script. Miss Elena Vos. Not Voss. Not even close. Inside, the place card repeated the error in that artificial looping font wedding planners love. No personal note. Just a generic, we hope you can join us, printed like an afterthought. I laughed at first, a short, dry sound in my empty kitchen. Then I sat at the counter staring at it longer than I cared to admit. Being misnamed wasn't new. School records, family holiday cards, even professional introductions sometimes mangled it. But your own sister's wedding? That cut differently. It felt intentional, like a quiet message. You're on the list. But barely. Still, I booked the flight to Charleston. Dad's voice echoed in my head from years ago, the rare sober moment when he said real family shows up, even when no one notices. The Hale estate greeted me with its grand white columns, manicured gardens heavy with humidity, and the scent of hydrangeas thick enough to taste. I gave my name at the gate. The coordinator frowned at her clipboard. Quinn?
Wait.
Voss, she asked,
Scanning again.
You must be with the event team? It took 3 calls on her radio before they confirmed I was family. Not immediate family. Apparently. They escorted me to a table near the kitchen and restroom doors. My place card reading, Elena Vos, overflow seating. The man next to me, well into his 70s, mistook me for staff 3 times and asked for water. I fetched it once out of habit, then ignored him. Around me, guests unwrapped welcome gifts, monogrammed flasks, artisanal soaps, while my spot had only a plain napkin. Lila glided through the crowd in her rehearsal brunch outfit, all practice smiles and strategic laughs. When she spotted me, her hug was brief, the kind reserved for distant acquaintances. You made it, she said lightly. Wasn't sure after the mix-up. The invitation error.
She meant.
She brushed it off as a printer glitch. Then she introduced me to her circle. This is my sister Elena. She handles some logistics consulting, or whatever. The conversation moved on without me. A woman nearby asked how I knew the bride. She's my sister, I replied. Her eyebrows shot up. Really? I didn't see you in any of the engagement posts. No malice. Just honest surprise. I excused myself to the patio edge, watching Lila work the room like a seasoned performer. Memories surfaced. Childhood dress-up games where she always claimed the bride role. Back then it was innocent. Now it felt like foreshadowing. That night at the rehearsal dinner in the estate's ballroom, I slipped in unnoticed through a side door. Seated near the AV equipment, I became part of the wallpaper. The slideshow began. Baby photos of Lila. School plays. Family vacations carefully curated. I waited for my appearance. 10 minutes in, a carousel photo from our Myrtle Beach trip appeared. But it was cropped tightly around Lila and her high school friend Megan, arm linked where mine should have been. The caption, Lila and her childhood bestie. Megan, sisters at heart. I sat perfectly still. I remembered that day, the blue scrunchie in my hair, buying cotton candy with my allowance, the shell necklace I wore. Now Megan had it on in the edited image. Precision editing. Not neglect. Deliberate. The audience cooed. My mother wiped a tear. No one glanced my way. Toni Morrison's words floated through my mind. Definitions belong to the definers. They were defining a Lila without me. The cocktail hour after the slideshow spilled into the garden under string lights and a hazy pink sky. I stood near the bar with a seltzer. Invisible in the strategic indifference Southern families perfect. Guests chatted in clusters. A woman with sprayed hair praised Lila to a younger relative. Now that's a daughter to brag about. MBA.
Killer job.
And look at this wedding. She didn't look at me. Standing 2 feet away. Lila linked arms with her future mother-in-law. Laughter bubbling effortlessly. When our eyes met across the lawn, her smile didn't reach her eyes. I approached anyway, needing to confirm what I suspected. Can we talk? I asked quietly, near the trellis. She agreed, but her posture stayed rigid. The slideshow, I started. That photo was edited.
Wasn't it? She sighed.
Elena, it's just pictures. People don't notice. Don't make it a thing tonight. Flat. Dismissive. The door closing. She floated back to the crowd without apology. I stayed by the trellis, watching. A guest whispered to her husband. Didn't Lila say she was an only child? This wasn't accident. It was branding, making my absence look natural. Elegant even. I found a bench deeper in the garden. Fireflies blinking around me. My mentor's advice resurfaced. You don't scream. You choose the right silence. I pulled out my phone, noting details, table placements, the unreturned RSVP email, the vendor-like treatment. Quiet wasn't weakness. It was storage. Building. Next morning at the veranda brunch, linen tables dotted the lawn, servers offering peach mimosas. I arrived early, seated at the outermost table near the exit. Name card crooked again. Elena Vose. Distant relatives and vendors filled seats. Conversation flowed around me. Alexander stood for a toast. Glass raised. Thanks especially to the Montgomery Trust for securing their dream condo in Atlanta's prime district. Applause. But I knew that property intimately. My firm, Voss Capital, had structured the acquisition quietly through shell entities and partnerships. My negotiations, my timelines, my financial models had closed it. They credited the family trust instead. My spine stiffened with quiet fury. As murmurs resumed, I approached Lilo in the hallway. Did you know that condo was my project? I asked evenly. She blinked, then smiled politely. You helped coordinate some numbers. Sure. But Alexander's team handled the vision. Theft wrapped in civility. Not competition,
She said.
people just want to feel good.
It clicked. This was design.
My work, white-labeled, paraded as theirs. I stepped back. This is the last family event where I haven't controlled the narrative, I told her calmly before walking away. I sat by the hedges, adding to my mental list, assets my firm backed. Silent stakes. Veto powers. No more invisible equity. They could lean on my foundation, but they'd learn its strength. Reception setup in the tent shimmered with lights and roses. My seating chart entry, Elena Vose. Vendor table, wedged between sound tech and a frosting wiping caterer. A server asked if I was the buffet supervisor. I declined helpfully. Through toasts and first dances, I calculated. Alexander praised hard-working staff behind the scenes. His eyes skimmed over me like fixture. They thanked me for staying background. My phone buzzed. Merger reminder. I texted my assistant. Push announcement 48 hours. I'd handle personally. Later, a planner pulled me for family portraits by the fountain. Hope flickered briefly. But an assistant whispered, immediate family only. I stepped back as cameras clicked. Lila leaned to the photographer, adjusting frame. No one noticed my absence. A guest nearby said, I thought Lila was an only child.
Shrug.
She basically is. I observed. Recorded. Tradition of erasure. But this time I didn't fade. I noted. Visual manipulation. Intentional exclusion. They posed their ideal picture. I documented every deleted pixel. The reception hit its lull, cake served, shoes slipping off, toasts loosening. I sat angled behind florals, close enough to hear, but forgotten by cameras. The MC opened tributes. Harlan Brooks stood unexpectedly. I've known the Hales forever, he began. But longer still. A woman whose strategies saved our biggest deal years back. Elena Voss, her spreadsheets turned disaster to profit. Laughter from vendor tables. Tonight's magic? Her quiet support made it happen. The glass shattered then. Alexander's face strained. Lila whispered urgently. The room pivoted toward my corner. I stood. Napkin folded. You've known the name. Just didn't care to learn it. Silence sharpened. Murmur started. Voss Capital? Owns stakes in Hale Freight? Phones lit up. The MC recovered awkwardly. Thinking BQ no. Voss Capital Solutions for logistics. Weak claps. Alexander approached my table. Strained smile. Wish we'd known you'd attend properly. You knew, I replied flatly. Just didn't check ownership. He retreated. Investors scrolled frantically. Messages glimpsed. 28% stake? Since when? I adjusted my cuff. Small movement signaling control earned quietly. I walked toward the terrace. Spotlight shifting without demand. They'd built on my shell. Discovering my name etched in the foundation too late. Behind ballroom curtains, I overheard. 28.5%. She's been here all along. Alexander's calm cracked privately. I slipped a board notice onto his chair in the estate office. Operational realignment. Voting review.
Audit.
Sticky note. Next time, read the footer.
Ev.
At my hotel. Sky turning indigo. Callista, no. Lila, texted. Didn't realize you'd come this far. Wish you'd said.
No sorry.
No thanks. Just distance. I wrote on hotel notepad. To the girl cropped from every frame. I see you now. Cost of silence. Power of walking away. Signed from the edited out one. Folded it away.
Dawn check out.
I messaged my assistant. Schedule retreat for women erased from family legacies. Add it. Driving away. I didn't glance back. Edited albums stayed theirs. I'd built my frame. 1 week later, Manhattan boardroom overlooked hazy skyline. I took the head seat. Linen pouch beside my folder containing the misspelled embroidered napkin from the wedding, Elena Vose in gold thread. Effective immediately. I began sliding reorganization packets. Voss Capital assumes central influence over Hale Freight Holdings via 28.5% voting power and affiliates. Legal team shifted. Assistant scanned. This grants controlling seat. Rounded yes. Cross affiliates accounted. No longer optional.
Outside.
Press waited. I addressed them briefly. Some legacies earned publicly. Others erased quietly. I've chosen correction. Cameras clicked. No questions. Let them spin it. That evening. Parcel to Lila's new Atlanta address. Empty silver frame. Wrong name napkin. Card. You crop the image. But never edit who funded the lens. Back home. Reviewing sponsorship for erased women in family businesses. Not overlooked. Outgrown. Signed full name.
They wrote without me.
I own the copyright.